So, what does it mean when you try to force it? Usually, it means, in my experience, usually means you're trying to do something faster. Right? You're a little impatient, and you're trying to make something happen faster than it actually should happen naturally. Right? It could be like something you're putting together, but certainly it applies to something you're trying to accomplish, right? Because we have instant gratification desires and we can't help that and we have to navigate that. And it makes us just try to, especially if it's a big thing, right? It's a really important thing or something you're really driven to do. And it leads to what? Breaking stuff and errors and poor work, right? There's lots of incredible things in life that you can't force, right? You can't force fitness. You can't make yourself get fit faster. You can't force love. You can't force decisions from someone else. You can't force a sale. I mean, you can do these things. You can force them, but that means you're going to do something that is not in line with how it would organically or naturally occur, which is ultimately going to end up being counterproductive, right? You can't force success. You can't force creativity at all, not even remotely. It's very difficult to force any kind of growth. Bottom line is everything has a process, right? And we have to learn to just trust that process, but we have to be conscious of all the things that actually go into that process. And it's even truer when we have a deep purpose, right? We have a really driving desire to accomplish something. So let me give you a little help here on what to force instead. And that means I got to tell you a little story about a trip I just took. I just got back from. So this past week, I was up for a 3-day speaking trip. I had a day of travel on Monday. I had an event on Tuesday, an event on Wednesday, and an event on Thursday. They were all separate events, different groups. So it wasn't like a contiguous thing. It was a redo from an energy perspective and a rapport perspective with each group. And then I had travel back afterwards, and the travel on each end is 8 hours. And so in the midst of this, of course, there's lots of prep and planning that go into something like this. And then when I'm there, when I'm with a group, I'm all in. And I'm also, feel a deep sense of responsibility to serve that group in my highest way possible. I can't, I don't know that I'm going to connect to everybody ever, and I don't know that everybody will love what I'm doing, but I know that I'm going to give it 100% of all I've got. And that's the way I am with a group. I'm completely all in, completely emotionally and energetically there. And these sessions were not a 1-hour keynote or a 30-minute talk, right? These were engaging, interacting, lots of energy, lots of movement. I'm also very active when I work with a group and facilitate discussion. A lot of what takes place in a group essentially happens from the dynamic of the group based around the content we're working on. And so the first day was almost 4 hours of content of delivery. The second one was 2.5, and the third event was 4 hours. So these are intense. And so I'm very conscious in managing my energy. I'm conscious of that all the time, but I'm very conscious when I'm doing something like that. And so at the same time this is going on, do all the preparations to go, and I still have my primary project, which is my opus. It's the thing that I'm insanely passionate about, that is an opportunity to impact millions of people eventually by trusting the process and not forcing it. And so I love it. I'm all in it. It's using all of my being. And I had to essentially set that on the side proactively, right? Because I had to be where I was going to be, because I'm also passionate always about a group that I'm serving. And so how does that relate to this message? So when I got back, I had tons of stuff to do, of course. Right? You go away for essentially a week, you're going to have a lot to do when you get back, right? Just the normal stuff, managing your household and taking care of things. Well, in the same space here, it is a period of time that coincides where my girlfriend, bride Melanie, is somewhere else, and she's gone for 2 weeks on a business trip. So I'm the chief cook and bottle washer for the house, taking care of the pets as well, my pups who are my buddies. And in addition to, all the other things, right? The mail and the bills and the things that a life involves and all the interaction. And in the same space, we had a hurricane we didn't know if we were going to get this hurricane. So I had to prepare the house for the hurricane before I left and then undo it all when I got back, which is not a small thing. So to say all that, there was a lot going on. And so I got back and immediately I addressed the things that were necessary. And during this week, I was not proactive in the project, which is my number one thing. And so I did a little bit Friday, but I had a ton more to do. And then Saturday came along, and this is the kind of thing. It's a work of passion, and I can work 24/7 literally, and I have the desire to, but I don't force it because that would be forcing it. That would be the worst thing I could possibly do because then I would not be trusting the process. I'd be working more of that process to grow and develop, but it would be counterproductive in the bigger picture. And so to give you the point here, so on Saturday, and I got up and did a little fishing very early because I hadn't been out of the water for a while, and then I came back and did a workout and then did some work on the project and some things. And then it got to be the early afternoon, and I'm like, man, I've got some great stuff to do for the project. There's all kinds of things I'm thinking about, right? I'm ideating, there's people to talk to, and all this great stuff, and people to serve. And I'm like, so, hard stop. I forced the relaxation. I forced the self-care. I forced the recharging. I forced the recreation. I forced myself, this may sound crazy, but you know what I'm talking about when you are driven to do something, you're passionate about something you're doing, you can keep doing it all the time until you burn yourself out. And so I forced myself to cut it off and go out on the river and get in my kayak and tool around and take my fishing rod and hang out for a few hours because I understand that you can't force it. You have to force the things that make it possible in the long run. And ironically, while I was out, because I had completely let go, I had completely disconnected, and so that forcing of that relaxation and that rest, which you have to have, allowed my brain to creatively go everywhere. And I came up with some amazing ideas that I'll implement in some other things. But the point of this is you don't force the process to be faster than it is in anything that you're doing, because you will break it and you will break yourself in it eventually. From a proactive living perspective, which is the way you have to go about doing all these things, you set your goal / purpose. For me, I'm working on purpose. This is a purpose-driven thing to affect millions of people. And then I plan and I execute. But inside of that plan and execution is every aspect of the three circles. So that it doesn't preclude the self-care, that comes first. It doesn't preclude the relationship care, people I love, the people I serve, the people I'm connected to. It does not preclude that. It includes that. And so I then, even the times when because I just like you, I'm in charge of my own choices. I could just decide I'll skip that and do this. No, I do the right things and trust the process in the right order. And that ends up working out better and the right way, the natural, organic way to grow and develop as you go forward. So I hope that this is a little bit helpful. Those of you who are in the midst of trying to accomplish something that matters, you have to force the relaxation. You have to make hard stops. You got to make hard boundaries and do the things that recharge you, or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. The price will end up being too high and you'll make too many mistakes, and you will actually end up having your own frustration with the desire to have something happen faster than it naturally should come out on other people, which will really shortcut you. All right. So I hope that this is helpful for you today. If you're new to me and you want to connect to all the free content that I produce, you can go to toddburry.com and sign up on the blog if you would like. You can search. There's tons of content in there that can help you in all aspects of business and personal development. I also have a Facebook fan page, which I'm not super active on Facebook, but I produce some content there every week. I have a YouTube channel that produce some videos every week. I post on LinkedIn occasionally. You can connect with me in all those places, and of course, I write books, particularly a Three Circle Living. And you can, if you're a reader, you can go look those up. Hope this was helpful, and feel free to share with someone else who may need this message. Create a great day.